All right. Thank you, Amy, and welcome everybody today to this celebration of our amazing Maine Women's Fund grantees, the groups that we were able to grant funding to for 2021. I want to thank Amy Holland, our operations director, for all of her technical assistance in getting this up and running, and Kim Crichton, who is our organization's executive director. You'll be hearing from her in a little bit, as well as Danny Scherer, who is our grants committee lead now and chair. So thanks for being here. It's exciting to see that whole long, wonderful list of grantees coming up in front of us. We're really proud to be able to fund $155,000 to those 16 deserving organizations. They're really innovative and doing so much to help decrease violence in our state, to help our care workers with better wages, to attack substance abuse issues, work on unemployment issues, and financial insecurity for women and girls across the state. And in addition, this year, we're also proud that we invested over a third of the funding into the organizations that were led with Black, Brown, and Indigenous women. So we're really trying to increase our capacity and our focus there. So I'm going to let Kim and Danny talk a little bit more about all these fabulous organizations and hear from them as well. So I'm going to turn it over to Kim. Thank you.
Thank you, Janice. Kimberly Creighton with the Maine Women's Fund, and my pronouns are she, her, and hers. And I am really thrilled just to shift the focus to the grantees at this point in time. We're going to have each organization have a representative that's going to introduce themselves, say their pronouns, the organization they work for, and say a few sentences about the need they really saw in the community and how they want to address that and how they're planning on addressing that through their work. So we're really excited to hear how they plan to be the change they wish to see in the world. And we're going to go through these organizations in reverse alphabetical order. So I'll be calling out each organization, and we're going to start with the YWCA of Central Maine.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Melanie Lamore Gagnon, and I'm the Executive Director of the YWCA Central Maine, located in Lewiston. And my pronouns are she, her, and hers. Vital to our work in eliminating racism and empowering women is really prioritizing the health, safety, and well-being of those most impacted by limited opportunity due to racism and xenophobia. And there's a long history in our country of racial segregation of public swimming pools, and that, along with access, has created really a continuum of racial and ethnic differences in swimming ability, putting racial minorities at higher risk for drowning. And unfortunately, we've seen the real effects of this in our community very recently. The YWCA Single Gender Swim Program was designed to address the equity issue and give women, particularly women of color, access to safe, private, affordable recreation to increase their swimming abilities in a women-only environment that's reflective of religious and cultural values. And with the help of the Maine Women's Fund this year, we'll be able to reduce the cost barriers for these women so that we can empower more women to learn this really vital life safety skill so that they can thrive in their own communities. And our hope is that this knowledge and these skills can then be passed along to their children and family members for generations to come.
Thank you, Melanie. We're really excited to have Survivor Speak go next. Is anyone here from Survivor Speak yet? We can circle back to them. I know Wabanaki Public Health and Wellness is running a little late too. So we will come back to them. Mahuddin from the Somali Bantu Community Association is here.
Hello, my name is Mahuddin Liba. I'm the Executive Director for Somali Bantu Community Association of Lewiston, Urban, Maine. He his. And Somali Bantu has been struggling with women progress for a long time. And we have been doing a lot of programs to empower the women and the girls in the community. After seeing a long history of rape and, issues, and, a woman is so strong and resilient, but they need the support and, and help in where they can be like great again in the community. So in doing that, we have women empowerment program that is helping the women to come together and discuss their issues. And we also have farming program, Liberation Farm, which is 78 to 80% women, which is increasing the income of the women and their autonomy. And we are doing a lot of programs. The Kashiki project has a lot of girls that are been introduced into our culture and introduced into the mainstream culture, so that they can be people who are well-rounded and educated in both in their culture and the American culture. So we are trying really hard to support the women and empower them. Thanks to Maine Women's Fund, and I didn't know when Maine Women's Fund up until when they visited our Lewiston farm, where they chose the site where the gathering used to decided to use it for the site. So I would like to continue supporting the women and also supporting the girls in the community. So thank you so much for your support, and appreciate and looking forward to working with you.
Thank you so much for sharing those words and telling us a little bit more about your community. Restorative Justice Institute is next.
Hi everyone, Becca Jackman Antonio from the Restorative Justice Institute of Maine, she, her pronouns. We are excited to partner with Maine Women's Fund this year on the continuation of our programming in the Southern Maine Women's Reentry Center prison in Windham, Maine, where we will be building out capacity for folks incarcerated there, for women incarcerated there, to become leaders in restorative and transformative justice processes, hoping to repair harm, build resilience, and strengthen community. Thank you, Maine Women's Fund.
Thank you so much. New Ventures Maine.
Thank you, Kim. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Janet Smith from New Ventures Maine. My pronouns are she and hers. And with me today is our Executive Director, Jill Nardone. And the key challenge that we identified in our proposal was a large and concerning racial wealth gap to financial access for people of color, including Maine's Indigenous population. And our vision is to build stronger partnerships with programs that reach Maine's. Sorry, I'm getting messages that my internet is unstable. So build stronger partnerships that reach and collaboratively serve Maine's Native American families and households to narrow that gap through match savings programs, which also include financial education and coaching.
Thank you, Janet. Next, we have Mano a Mano.
Hi, everyone. My name is Juana Rodriguez Vasquez. I am the Interim Executive Director of Mano a Mano and the Director of Rayitos de Sol. And I use she, her, hers pronouns. And some of the things that we, key needs, challenges that we identified in the community was the need for affordable childcare services and community spaces that represent the backgrounds of the members that are served. As an act of the bridge, we connect with families from different backgrounds so that the languages and the culture are valued and appreciated by the whole community. So access to quality childcare is a root barrier for many women and girls face in terms of discrimination and also the opportunity that impacts their affordability and quality to be able to access childcare. That limits their access to career opportunities, also limits professional growth and the ability to gain financial autonomy. So with Rayitos de Sol, we are hoping to have access to affordable bilingual childcare and supporting open spaces for women to create networks of support, also to cultivate community and access to leadership roles with having and supporting women and girls to have career opportunities as well. And I am also here with my Emma, who is also from Mano a Mano.
Hi, thank you so much for having us today.
Thank you all, and thank you for letting us use a picture of the Child Care Center in our press release. That was really appreciated and wonderful to be able to see your work in that way. Next up, we have the Maine Women's Lobby Education Fund.
Thank you, Kim. I'm Dania, and I'm with the Maine Women's Lobby Education Fund. I use she and they pronouns, and I'm the Communications and Development Coordinator. We know that civic life has high barriers to access at the Ed Fund, and it's often hard to understand what's happening in politics, policy, and why and how to engage. And that results in many communities being excluded from these community decisions, leadership roles, and from resources. And so we proposed in our grant 2 education efforts to increase Maine's ability to envision and achieve gender equitable public policy for women and girls. The 2021 Women's Summit on Economic Security, as well as our current series of nonpartisan sessions on gender equitable legislation that will go into following the summit. And today here, I also have Logan with me who can chat a little bit about that.
Hello, folks. My name is Logan Mills. I'm the community organizer at the Maine Women's Lobby Education Fund, and I use he, him pronouns. We're really excited about the summit. It happens every other year, and it always is an intersection of women's economic security and another issue. And so this year, the intersecting issue is civic engagement. So we're going to be exploring all the different barriers that folks have to accessing the civic process. Instead of previous summits, which felt very, presenter and you listen, we really want to encourage skill sharing. We really want to acknowledge that lived experience is just as important as a degree from a school when we're talking about addressing these barriers. And so we're really hoping to facilitate community conversations, including some satellite facilitated conversations in person around Maine with partner organizations. So would love to chat more with folks about that, but we're really excited about it, and that'll be in October of this year. Oh yes, and the keynote speaker is Latasha Brown, which we're so excited about.
Thank you so much for that and for getting that on people's calendars. Next up, we have Maine Transgender Network.
Hello, I am Wynn Christnott Peters. My pronouns are they, them, or he, him. And I am the Communications and Development Coordinator. Maine Transnet does a bunch of different things at this point. We've kind of really diversified our program offerings and things, but our main focus for this grant and the issue that we saw really is that BIPOC trans folks are disproportionately affected by violence, especially sexual violence and domestic violence, and that is an issue that is largely not being addressed, and that folks often really would benefit from culturally competent support in that situation, whether that be trans competent or their communities they grew up in, their ethnicity. Like there are multiple different parts of people's cultures that they grew up with that can affect the way that they cope with trauma like that. And we recognized that and wanted to do something about it. And so part of what we're doing to that end is to offer trainings for SADV advocates on how to best support trans survivors while taking those cultural differences into consideration, and just acknowledging people's cultures and people's background and upbringing, like, can help find amazing tools to help cope with things. And that was a whole section of people's lives that kind of just wasn't really being recognized and utilized to help folks. We also provide support groups for folks based on what their cultural background is or other needs. So like we have a support group for folks who are disabled and neurodivergent and survivors of violence, because that also changes the way that you cope with things. And just also what used to be and is again going to be a statewide network of in-person peer-led support groups. Now that it is starting to be safe to actually do those in person again, we're very excited to be able to say that we have groups from Kittery to Presque Isle, although we'll be Fort Kent actually, and Machias to Farmington. So we're looking to expand that because we found that having that support, especially with folks from your local community who know the way that people treat you in public and whether your community is accepting or not, can go a huge distance towards making people actually like feel accepted in their communities and find the resources they need. And we're really excited to be able to continue that work.
Thank you, Wen. Next up, we have the Maine Commission on Domestic and Sexual Abuse.
Hi, good afternoon. Thank you so much for having us. I'm Lucia Hunt. I'm the chair of the Maine Commission on Domestic and Sexual Abuse. My pronouns are she, her, and hers. We also have Donna Brown here. She is the chair of our Racial Equity Subcommittee at the Commission. And so the Commission on Domestic and Sexual Abuse has 36 members. We're established in Maine statutes, and we're charged with advising and assisting the legislative, judicial, and executive branches of Maine's government on issues related to domestic and sexual abuse. The need we really started talking about, it's now long over a year ago, but we started to have some really focused conversations, I think last summer, was the need for the Abuse Commission to really frame those policy recommendations for domestic violence and sexual assault survivors in a way that centers racial equity. So the project that we have been funded to pursue, we're very excited about. We're calling it the Roadmap to Racial Equity. And we're going to engage Mindbridge Center to develop a series of seminars for the group, and also a roadmap, a document that will be a living document that will help to guide our decision-making when we're making those policy recommendations in a way that really centers the intersections of interpersonal violence and that movement and racial equity, and particularly when we look at the criminal justice system. So I can't wait to get started on it, and we so appreciate the opportunity to do so. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Mabel Wadsworth Center is next.
Hi, my name's Abby Stroke-Bench. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm the Director of Community Engagement at Mabel Wadsworth Center. First, just want to thank the Maine Women's Fund so much for their support, and I'm really happy to be here with all the other grantees today. We provide feminist healthcare for people of all genders in Bangor, and we focus on sexual and reproductive health. The need we named is the ongoing need for access to quality, affordable healthcare that's both empowering and non-judgmental. And we're working to reduce these barriers to care for women and the LGBTQ+ community by providing timely, compassionate, safe reproductive and sexual health care, primary care, and mental health counseling. We offer reduced cost care as well as support folks with insurance navigation and getting enrolled in both main care or the marketplace.
Thank you, Abby. We have In Her Presence next.
Thank you, Kim, and thank you everybody for joining us and inviting us as a grantee. I think we are really so grateful for even the support you are giving us. So In Her Presence got a capacity building grant, and as I know, so my name is Claudette. I didn't present myself. So my name is Claudette Naininazi, and I'm the executive director of In Her Presence. And I go with she, her, and hers. So, and as you know, we have been operating for almost about 5 years now, since 2015. And we were a volunteer, an organization, volunteer base. And since 2021, our board decided to go with an executive director who is full paid, which was really a huge transition, because it was so hard really to think that we are going even to have resources for supporting that transition. And as you know, the goal for In Her Presence, as you know, we have almost 100 women now in our platform, and we have 47 children. We have 46 volunteers who work together, including our teachers, but we have also more than 25 partners we work together. And as you can see, our goal is really lifting the language barrier, especially the contextual English conversation. And we support the career trajectory and also the financial side of our women and also our family. And we do it by cultivating, of course, the emerging leaders, but also shifting the mindset on the culture here in Maine. And maybe without going far, I have also my co-founder here on the screen, Mickey, and I'm going to invite her to add something on the programming side. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And thank you so much for the funds, for the Women Fund. I think building right now is the transition after the COVID, what we have discovered during the COVID and the pandemic, the way we were able to shift our program from the in-person to the remote. And I think with the immigrant woman who never had the opportunity to navigate the remote system. So it was a huge challenge to make sure then the technology and all the education pieces were able to be combined together. So I think with some of the funding and some of the capacity building right now is going to move us to that direction where we can emphasize and educate our women how to navigate some of the system using those tools, because we have now the capacity to do so. And having also a an executive director who's going to be more focused on building some foundation with businesses, with local community businesses, where we can move our women to different programs, doing some internship, and be able to build some cultural brokering to the businesses where they understand how to hire immigrants and also to retain immigrants. And I think building those capacity for ED is really a key measure for the success of our programs. Thank you so much for the funding.
Thank you. We have ILAP up next.
Thanks, Kim. Hi, everyone. My name is Laura Smanko. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm here for the Immigrant Legal Advocacy Project, which many people know as ILAP. We're honored to be among so many inspiring grantees today. It's great to hear about everybody's work. We're being funded this year in support of our direct legal services for immigrant survivors of domestic violence, trafficking, and crime, as well as related outreach, education, and advocacy. So through these activities, community members work with our attorneys to learn about different legal options under U.S. immigration law, make decisions about the next steps for them towards safety and stability, and then in successful cases, ultimately get permanent legal status and are able to really move forward and with their lives from there in a safe space. So thanks very much.
Thank you, Laura. Next up, we have 4 directions. Sayer, can you respond? I see that you're on the phone. There you go.
Is that better?
Perfect.
Sorry.
No worries.
You have to unmute it in both places. My name is Sarah Savage. I am the Financial Capabilities Program Manager for 4 Directions. I use she, her pronouns. And this year, Maine Women's Fund is supporting our efforts to implement better data tracking methods in order to identify new opportunities to promote financial services, programs, and projects within the Wabanaki communities of Maine. So thanks so much, Maine Women's Fund.
Thank you, Sayer. Next up, we have Elder Abuse of Maine.
Hello, I'm Silas Domi with the Elder Abuse Institute of Maine. I'm the Research and Development Coordinator here with our ED, Patty Kimball. Pronouns are he, him, his. Mainers, particularly older women, often face in the criminal justice system a conundrum where they want to have better relations with people who are inflicting abuse, be it financial, lack of care, etc. But they either avoid the criminal justice system because they're afraid of the punitive damages that they think will come with it, or they're disappointed when they're in the interacting with the criminal justice system and they don't feel that they have the reparations or the closure that they desire. So we are working with the Maine's criminal justice system to pilot a program that uses our other research, which uses a model called RISE. We help to repair harm through restorative justice, inspire change through motivational interviewing, support connections through teaming, and empower choice through supported decision making. And we are hoping to set a model that can be used with the criminal justice system in the future.
Thank you. It's exciting to see so many restorative justice projects this year. Next up is Art Band.
Thank you, Kim. So good to be here. My name is Shannon Els. I use she, her, hers pronouns, and I'm the Communications and Development Director for Art Band. So we're a mobile art therapy organization. We go directly to our core neighborhoods, primarily that are in Lewiston, Auburn, Biddeford, Brunswick, Portland, and Bath. And we work directly with youth, and a lot of times their moms, their siblings, babysitters come and join and do art together. And so through this co-facilitation model, we've seen that, you know, there's a lot of need for creative problem solving, for self-expression, for empowering self-esteem through the creative arts, as well as because we consistently check in with through this safe and non-judgmental community that we formed, there's a lot of issues that sometimes come up. And so each week we design a program that's specific to each neighborhood, specific to the kids that we work with. And so through that relationship, we've been going for 17 years, and thanks to the continued funding that we're able to continue building these relationships with our neighborhoods. And because it's been through 17 years, we even have some teens who are going through the program and who've come back and supported us as contract artists and stay within the community and give back. So thank you so much for the funding, and so inspired to be here among this incredible network that we have.
Thank you so much. Next up, we have Wabanaki Public Health and Wellness.
Hi, my name is Erica Farnloff. I'm the Division Manager for Recovery Housing and Supports at Wabanaki Public Health and Wellness. And I'm excited to be a part of this and to be able to hear all of your stories and your projects. And thank you, Maine Women's Fund, for helping fund our dream. We are within the recovery, the Wabanaki Healing and Recovery. We know that our struggle is that Indigenous people have been so hard hit by the opioid epidemic and substance use disorder across the board. And, you know, over the last 10 years, tribal leadership throughout the Wabanaki communities have really put a strong emphasis on needing a strong continuum of care from detox through recovery housing. And our women get lost in the system. They lose children, they lose themselves through treatment. And so our goal with the funding in our project is really to build a solid support network and recovery peer network for women, for Wabanaki women within recovery, and really building that support. We have, you know, one of our focuses is building a solid peer lead program through recovery coaching, intentional peer support, family reunification and support in the maternal and child welfare, you know, needs around being able to support women in recovery and through the process. And I'm so sorry that I'm in my car because of this. I've had an appointment right before this, so bear with me. But it really, having that support network really will help build and support women who lose their voice so often. You know, I'm a woman in long-term recovery, and this is such a needed space for women to be able to have their voice reheard and to really connect through culture, through healing, through learning their tribal language, really connecting with treatment through culture as opposed to just evidence-based practices, and really building that. So I'm so grateful for this opportunity and to be a part of this. So thank you.
Thank you, Erica. Survivor Speak is up next. I saw Dee here, but she may have needed to answer a call. So does anyone see her? Okay. I will share a little bit about their work. Survivor Speak is a survivor-led organization that works to dismantle trafficking, and they are huge advocates for trafficking survivors statewide. They're doing a lot of policy work and really trying to raise the voices of the survivors in their communities through any number of ways, the newest of which is a play that's going to be put on soon. So I look forward to having Dee share more about her work throughout the year. Is there anyone that I might have missed in the introductions? Okay. Well, I'm really thrilled. You know, our mission is is to make bold investments to transform the lives of women and girls. And just hearing you all talk about your work, I feel really excited about the ways that you all are really carrying out that mission in a time where people really need these services and we really need massive systems change. And it's really exciting to see so many of you working on both direct service and systems change and the connection between them both. I'm going to turn it over to Danny Scher at this point in time, who's our grants committee chair, and she's going to facilitate the question and answer.
Hi, everyone. My name is Danny Scher, she, her pronouns, and like Shannon from Art Van, I find it inspiring to be in this group with everyone today. And one of the added benefits of granting a cohort is the ability to connect with each other and hear about issues that we may not have been thinking about from each other, and that's a real bonus to what we do. So we'd love to use this time to hear a little bit more to further that network that we just started together by engaging in a few questions and a few discussion pieces. If anybody has questions for the group or specific people, please take a minute right now to just put it into chat. We welcome any questions. Maybe it's to someone's specific program, or maybe it's more general. We welcome your questions, and Kimberly and I prepared a few questions for the group as well. So just take a minute to think if you have any questions or reflections you want to add to the chat, and then I'll ask my question. And to add to that, Amy, if at any point you see any questions on Facebook, let me know and we can pose that to the group as well. So please add your questions. Thank you, Abby, and we'll get to them after this first question. So as we're going through this, you can add more to right under Abby's question. So my first question for anybody, and please raise your little emoji hand if you'd like to answer this question, is just to talk about the importance of community-driven work. So specifically, why is it important to ensure that women and girls and those who identify as women and girls in the community drive and guide the work? So you can speak generally about this, or you can speak specifically about this, but why is it important to be community driven? And Kimberly just posted that in the chat. Thank you so much. So think about this for a second and raise a hand, and we'd love to just get a few comments on this question. And responses are also welcome in the chat. We'd love to hear from a few people. Okay, I'm going to call on Wynn. Thank you, Wynn.
This is kind of specific to our work at Maine Transnet, but part of our mission is to help trans Mainers thrive. And being able to thrive in your community means being part of your community, and knowing who is accepting in your community and where those places are, and feeling like you really belong, which is something that a lot of folks struggle with, especially if they're still living in the same area that they lived in before they came out. That is a thing that doesn't get thought about a lot. And so like community-driven work where people are part of their community is just really essential in like getting folks to realize that trans people are just people. And they want the same things that everybody else wants. And so that's part of the reason why part of what we do at Maine Transnet is community events. So that it's to see that, oh yeah, no, we're all just Mainers. We all just and that makes a pretty acceptance and people's feelings of belonging in their community, and that can make a huge
you've inspired other people to raise their hands, I think. So we'll start with Dania, or is it Dania? I'm so sorry.
Oh,
And
it's
then we'll go to
Dania.
Janet.
No worries.
Dania, go ahead.
Thanks. I also go by Danny sometimes, so that's you can use that if you'd like. So community-driven work is crucial to having policies reflect the people that they're meant to help. And we have found that if we do not honor the lived experiences of the people who are most affected by policy, we find that those policies either unintendedly leave people out or they directly harm them. And so when we think about how we're going to shape policy, we require that we are listening and working with the people who have been left out. And yeah, that's what we're excited about doing as we do civic education work.
Great, thank you so much. I see Janet, and then after Janet will be Mickey.
Thank you. So at New Ventures Maine, we've long used match savings programs as one of our strategies to help people with their financial security. And we've learned that for populations who are experiencing barriers to access to financial services, it's important to work with them to find out what those barriers, what's going on with the systems that's preventing them from accessing financial services, and then working to change the systems and create programming that makes access a lot easier. So it's not enough just to have a match savings program. You have to have a match savings program that connects with the population that you're working with and helps to change systems so that the systems work better for those folks.
Thank you, Janet. Nikki.
Thank you so much. So what can I say is that in Whole Presence, we serve immigrant women and girls. And we really believe the new Mainers as an immigrant, we belong to a community. And then when we see then all the impact then we want to reach to the change should be a community driven, because the large community really recognize the value and the mission, and under those values they really investing for the change. And what they're investing to the change is really bringing the immigrant woman to the leadership position, where young girls are reflecting to their moms, and then they become more powerful and empowered to be able to thrive for the change and for the better community in a large concept of we building from each other, we empowering from each other, and we going to advocate for the change, all of us together. Yes. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Claudette.
Thank you. What I can add to everybody, what they said, I think using the platform with lived experience really is key for any achievement, any success for the community, because you are bringing, they are the one really who knows the need for the community. And if we don't reach out to them, if we don't use them, we are losing, because we are designing without them. So we need to bring them on the table so they can be part of that power, that dynamic really of having that power and that leadership they are saying. How do we boost that? And I think someone said, we don't empower a person, people empower themselves. What we need is to build on their strength and skills so they can achieve whatever they are looking for and they are working. That's really what I can say. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Claudette. I definitely heard some themes of the importance of centering lived experiences. I heard multiple responses include that term. And also recognition of the fact that not including community and making sure the table is not just welcoming members of the community, but it's not, the table itself is the community. And I heard multiple people, I think more than one person say that without that kind of decision-making and policy-making, it's not just ineffective, but it could be doing harm. So it's really powerful statements from everyone. Thank you so much. The second question that we have is about intersectionality, and there's some crossover to the way we're talking about, I think, community-driven work, but think about the importance of using a lens of intersectionality in everything that we do, and recognizing that, yes, as a Maine Women's Fund, we focus in a very large way on issues affecting those who identify as women and girls, but never without the lens of all the other identities that overlap with gender equity. So reflect on the importance of using the lens of intersectionality in our work. And again, raise your hand. You can take a minute to think about it. It's a big question. We'd love to hear from some of you. Oh, I see Logan. Go ahead.
Sorry, got kicked out, so my name might not have been there. So for us, I think that we look at an intersectional lens as being really crucially important, especially in terms of our approach to putting together policy and making sure that we have a diverse set of voices, that we're not ever. I think another thing about intersectionality is, for us, is kind of knowing our own lane, like knowing where we stand in our expertise, which is gender equitable policy, but we don't know the experiences of other communities' lived experiences. And so both valuing those perspectives and those communities and acknowledging where the limits of our own personal experience are has been a really important aspect. And also, as we've, as an organization who's 40 years old, for us, just reflecting on ways that we could have done better, ways we could have shown up for more communities, not as a guilt thing, but as a way to move forward and continuing to make sure that we're bringing relevant work to the communities that need it. Because, I think the opposite of intersectionality is, just sort of a blinders, like a tunnel vision, and actually kind of an exclusive movement. And so I think that, we definitely don't want to be exclusive. And so that's where intersectionality is really important.
Thank you, Logan. Thank you so much. Claudette, go ahead.
I'm sorry, but to keep talking. So the way I can analyze that question, I think I can say in three lenses. So in her presence, we had a platform of, as I said, women coming from 16 countries. They have different personality. They have different culture, as you may know. So how do we promote that space? So they can really exchange, they can learn from one another, they can support one another. And then they can support their family too, and they can become ambassador in the community. This is, I think, one thing. The second, they are also the women, they are the pilot of the families. And then it's really a way of one woman can also inspire men. It's not only women, but it's the family, how that the woman we have inspired the family and advocate also for the community. And the third lens I'm looking is between our immigrant women and families with also the mainstream community. How do we create that intersectionality together, a common space, so they can work together, they can learn one another, and build the community together by shifting really their mindset and really looking at their blind spot really, and then creating a unique and same community together, moving and implementing the changes. Thank you.
Thank you, Claudette. It was beautiful the way you described the ripple effect of how many people would be affected by changing the lives of women that you work with. So we'll have to wrap up there. I think we could probably keep going forever, but I'm going to turn it back over to Kimberly and Janice to close us out.
Thank you all for all the grantees for sharing your stories. We really value hearing your voices and are excited that we're reaching so many people with them. Janice, I'll let you wrap up. Thank you.
I just want to thank everybody for being here today. Thank you, Danny, for facilitating those wonderful questions and responses that we heard. It is inspiring to be with this group of people, and I'm just amazed at all of the incredible work that you're going to be doing with the money we were able to fund. So good luck to you with all of your projects. We can't wait to hear about how they go, and really look forward to seeing you all in person, hopefully sooner rather than later. Have a great afternoon and evening. Thank you.